if there's one major achievement we must make in this 10th Senate under your leadership, we plead that it should be this issue of electoral reform. In India, where you have over 1 billion people voting, diverse nation, which is a continent of its own, they spend 2-3 weeks doing the elections because of the size. But you hardly hear people go to court challenging or killing themselves and so on. And they all have the differences too. Ethnic, tribe, religion, and all of that.
This bill won't scale through simply because 99.9% of them there came through the back door. And as a result of that, if the electoral reform is properly done the way it should be, some of them might not have the opportunity of coming back again. Is it not surprising that 90% of our governors, all of them want to be APC overnight, whether they are working effectively or not, because they believe that if they don't join APC, APC is going to write the results come 2027. As a result of that, if you can't beat them, you join them. Now, let's hear him out and see the responses so far.
Properly belongs. We should not subject it to the normal evidential rule that says he who alleges must prove. How can you prove something you don't even know? INEC is an electoral body conducting elections. INEC appoints people, a candidate and party has no control over them. INEC does whatever they do, juggle figures and announce. Do cancellations, they explain to no candidate, they explain to no party. And yet the law says, if you challenge it, he who alleges must prove. No. In every other matter, that may very well be the case. That's the common law. But we must make a change in our reviews in the Electoral Act now, requiring that for electoral matters, which are, as we lawyers say, sui generis, they're a particular class of their own, we must shift that burden. The burden of proving that the elections have been conducted peacefully and in accordance with law must shift to INEC. My dear colleagues, Henry Seriaki Dickson, Bayelsa West. Mr. President, first of all, I would like to commend the sponsor who led the lead debate and chairman of the Committee on Electoral Matters, of which I'm a member, for bringing this very important matter for our discussion. And having listened to the lead debate and all the very moving and passionate contributions of all members, with which I totally agree, I just felt I should add a thing or two. There is no doubt, as has been said, that if there is one pressing matter before this 10th Senate, if there is one pressing matter before this 10th Senate, it is the issue of how we sustain and deepen and ring-fence the electoral system. Because if that fails, then we will only be a democracy in name. Will only be a democracy in name. And it's a great shame, it's a shame, that election period after election period, we seem to be regressing. I know that in this country, in 2007, President Yar'Adua, right there on the inaugural podium, restated his determination to review the electoral system that brought him into office. After Yar'Adua, 2015, a sitting president who appeared to be losing without even waiting for the final tally to be called, President Jonathan, and by the way, from the great state of Bayelsa too, made that historic call. And I was there in the room with him. The effort was to deepen and elevate Nigeria's democracy. And thereafter, 2019, we didn't see how that improved our system. So in some way, without casting blame or pointing fingers, we appear not to have built on the momentum that has been established, to the extent that, as I said the other day, and I note Mr. President's very patriotic utterance when he said, well, our country has done it before, and you're right. Now, it's as if, I don't want to say smaller countries, but we are the giant of Africa, and we remain so, by history and by design. It is other countries now that are now taking the shine. And I say so painfully, with reference to the last presidential elections in Ghana, where the candidate of the ruling party, Dr. Bawumia, candidate of NPP, vice president to the sitting president, Akufo-Addo, before even the tally was completed, placed a call to current president John Mahama and considered and stole the show, as it were, from us, Nigeria. So, Mr. President, if there is one major achievement we must make in this 10th Senate under your leadership, we plead that it should be this issue of electoral reform. In India, where you have over 1 billion people voting, diverse nation, which is a continent of its own, they spend 2-3 weeks doing the elections because of the size. But you hardly hear people go to court, challenging or killing themselves and so on. And they all have the differences too. Ethnic, tribe, religion, and all of that. So, Mr. President, we have an opportunity. I know that we have moved from card reader to beavers. We should authorize INEC to deploy more technology, and we should support them with funding. Secondly, our political parties are the biggest challenge to our democracy. We have to look for a way by which we can introduce some regulation and control on their behavior or undemocratic behavior. And thirdly, and this is quite serious, I'm sure when we assemble in Lagos, tomorrow, Mr. President, will be meeting, your committee will be meeting in Lagos to again review some of the proposals that we have been tinkering with for almost a year now. The burden of proof in electoral matters, Mr. President, must shift to INEC. That is where it rightly and properly belongs. We should not subject it to the normal evidential rule that says he who alleges must prove. How can you prove something you don't even know? INEC is an electoral body conducting elections. INEC appoints people, a candidate and party has no control over them. INEC does whatever they do, juggle figures and announce. Do cancellations, they explain to no candidate, they explain to no party. And yet the law says, if you challenge it, he who alleges must prove. No. In every other matter, that may very well be the case. That's the common law. But we must make a change in our reviews in the Electoral Act now, requiring that for electoral matters, which are, as we lawyers say, sui generis, they are a particular class of their own, we must shift that burden. The burden of proving that the elections have been conducted peacefully and in accordance with law must shift to INEC. I want us to look at this carefully, and then when we do the clause by clause and at the committee considerations, we can look at it. Mr. President, thank you very much as we unite to give this country an electoral act that will stand the test of time and deepen our democracy. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me comment.
There should be punishment for any INEC officer, be ad hoc, permanent staff, whatever, so long as they don't send you, go polling unit, you are in charge of the voting. And after voting, they count. In the end, that same polling unit, the result will come out. It can eventually change at the collation center. Whoever did that supposed to be fished out. Because sometimes, if you check about these election processes, who did the where they want announce am, the overall person wey want announce am. Probably na wetin dem collate give am, na im go read. Meanwhile, the atrocity has been committed right from the polling unit, the ward collation center, and the local government collation center, and the rest. Now, a situation whereby there is a law to that effect, minimum of 2 years imprisonment, that if your polling unit where they assign you to figures change, then there's a proof to that effect. Because most times, what I normally observe is that any polling unit, the moment they don't count finish, they go sign. After they sign, all the political parties will have their own copy taken to their own headquarters. Then the original one, more to go carry and go the collation center at the ward level. Then all the party representatives are also there. By the time every copy so far collected, it can eventually different from the one wey dem sign at the polling unit. The officer that did that, the INEC officer that did that, supposed to be fished out and let the person go in for it. And the joking aspect of it now, whether you like it or not, now the leaders of tomorrow, the youth, not be old men, they do all those kind of things. Tomorrow, such person will come and say, the politicians have been marginalizing us, that they use us all this while. Because of the small money wey they go give you, you go change figure for road. And at the end of the day, they go say, who no win, now eventually win. So until we amend our constitution to that effect, there's a punishment that awaits anybody who change figures. This amendment we talk about is just some kind of formality that won't change anything. Because Nigeria, they fear any punishment that will restrain them, their movement, their freedom for a certain period. And that is why sometimes, whether you are guilty or not, when police catch you, instead of you to just spend that time, exercise your right, follow them, go station, write your statement, come out, call your lawyer, we won't bribe by all means, we will come up because we will not get the time. So by the time anybody will they won't pay peanuts just to conduct election as maybe ad hoc staff, then you can eventually, that small money won't lead you to something that will detain you for 2-3 years. And we don't use some person set example because of the law says so. Have it at the back of your mind. This issue of trying to add up figures, it will reduce a bit. Anyway, whatever you think, drop your comment in the comment section once again. Share and follow the page. Kudos to Senator Seriaki Dickson. You have been speaking for the voiceless. If only we have vibrant and intelligent lawmakers, senators in that same house, I believe this Senate we will get now, people not going to refer to as rubber stamp. Because over the years we did there, you have been outspoken, saying the truth. Just that Akpabio way did there is dancing to the store simply because APC person. And as a result of that, some of those things where you talk, they be like say, they go against what he stand for. Because they don't mean well for Nigeria.